Chris, oh, you know what's coming up after this? Undisputed.
Big day.
Oh, my goodness. Anybody interested in writing a letter to themselves, JT?
The young Joy will write a letter to the elder Joy.
I bet you young Joy is so impressed with what older Joy has turned into.
Probably.
And I know JT's not going to be talking trash about anyone for being a little congratulatory on Instagram, will you, my friend Joy Taylor? None of that would ever happen.
You know, I want to start by congratulating you, Nick. This is a big day for you. So we'll start with that.
We worked hard towards this moment.
You did. You worked very hard for it. Many hours of yelling at your television has propelled LeBron to this point. And young JT, I don't know if I would be disappointed in myself. I wanted to be the president, and I also wanted to be an astronaut. So I feel like
you're right there. You're so close.
In the middle.
You're so close.
So close. Coming up on Undisputed, we've got good news and bad news for Cavs fans. The good news is LeBron keeps setting records. The bad news is your team kind of stinks. We'll talk all of that. And is Baker Mayfield the next Johnny Manziel? Plus, Eric Dickerson and Chris Broussard are in studio with us. Undisputed is coming up next. Jenna, back to you, Nick and Chris.
All right, Joy, thank you very much. We look forward to reading that young Joy letter. We are sticking with the Cavs on a night when LeBron James became one of 7 players to score 30,000 points. You'd think it would be enough good juju to get this team going, but there isn't enough juju, apparently. The Cavs lost to an undermanned Spurs team, their 6th loss in 7 games, and now more reports of locker room strife. Trade rumors and potential lineup changes are swirling around Cleveland. Ty Lue addressed the team's issues after the game.
I'm going to make a change.
What is it?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you. Have a good night, man.
Can you tell us why now?
I'll tell you later.
Okay, so they've gotten to the point where they know that changes are indeed a-coming. What changes do you think this team makes?
Well, I think by Friday there's going to be 2 significant changes that will have been made. They're off today, they practice tomorrow, they play the Pacers on Friday. By Friday, I imagine Jay Crowder will no longer be in the starting lineup. I think they will reinsert Tristan Thompson in the starting lineup so Kevin Love can play his natural position as the 4. They will go to a bigger lineup and a lineup that, to be honest, doesn't have as much shooting but will be better defensively. I also think before Friday they will have traded for George Hill. It was interesting what they did yesterday, CC. Iman Shumpert had been injured. He came in yesterday. He's part of the, according to Adrian Wojnarowski.
It was the first game he dressed, too. Right?
Exactly right. They dress him for the game. He's part of the potential trade package along with Channing Frye for George Hill. They let him play 5 minutes the first half, looks healthy. They don't play him all in the second half, even when the reserves are in, getting mop-up duty in the final couple of minutes. That, to me, says they anticipate trading him. If that trade goes through, I imagine the starting lineup will be IT and George Hill in the backcourt, LeBron, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson in the front court. Now, that's not enough to fix all the woes, but that might be enough to stop the bleeding and send something of a system shock to the team. So those are some of the changes I anticipate coming in the next 48 hours.
So now we're looking at probably at least another month, a month and a half, if all that's true, of adjustments. You know, so Cleveland, man, they're not out of the woods. George Hill, is he a better defender at the guard position? Yes, but they're a lot smaller, and they're not as a good perimeter shooting team. But they miss Kyrie Irving. And the reason why they miss Kyrie Irving is because Isaiah Thomas, he's not healthy. He's not explosive. He can't get to the rim the way he used to. Doesn't have the legs for his jump shot. So we also don't know, is he going to be the same player that we saw last year? If he's not the same player, then we know that the Celtics really had a huge advantage in this trade. Now, we don't know what the Brooklyn pick's going to be. Go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, take that one step further. If he doesn't become healthy, what do the Cavs do? If he doesn't, like you said, maybe he doesn't get back into it, do they have the personnel in place now to take themselves out of the East with who they've got?
No, if he's not healthy, they're not getting out of the East.
So this all falls basically on
no, it doesn't fall. It doesn't fall just on him, but if you cannot, with Kevin Love and LeBron, 1 and 2, be able to get through the East. People think the East is that easy. I don't think they can beat Toronto. I don't think that they can beat Boston with just those 2 players. Isaiah will get a little bit better, but does it all come together? That's the big question down the stretch. And defensively, they're never going to be a great defensive team. You know, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do make a move like this or a couple different moves. But for me, the #1 move is for LeBron James to get his overall attitude back right. Because LeBron's not having fun playing basketball. You can see it on his face. You can even see it with whatever he was doing with Dwayne Wade. That was no celebration. Like, I've watched
after
LeBron,
the 30,000 points.
I watched LeBron since he was 14 years old. I probably saw half of his high school games, and I believe I've seen 90% of his pro games since he's been in the NBA. He is not happy. LeBron is about happy. They didn't have no handshakes. Like, you know, he didn't do all the handshakes. They used to do all the pictures and the introductions. Like, this is a LeBron that I'm not used to seeing. And I believe that has a lot to do with this team turning it back around.
All right, so to Chris's point, they need a healthy IT to get through the East. I do not agree with that. I watched the Cavs team with an injured but playing Kyrie Irving and no Kevin Love sweep a 60-win Hawks team, Bron's first year there. I watched them run through the playoffs in the East each of the last 2 years, so I don't think. And I watched this Cavs team, by the way, when IT wasn't playing yet. Win 18 of 19, go toe-to-toe with the Houston Rockets in Houston, go toe-to-toe with the Warriors on Christmas Day. So I don't think they need IT to get through the East. What they do need, though, is a fully functional team to have any shot of winning the championship. So I think another major trade, I shouldn't say another. I think the George Hill trade's coming, but I think a much more significant trade is also on the horizon. And you mentioned that they wouldn't have as much shooting. Right now, with the way J.R. Smith is playing, anyone in his place would be more shooting. Right now, with the way Jay Crowder's playing, almost anyone in his place, well, not Tristan Thompson, I suppose, but almost any perimeter player would be more shooting. Like, the killer of the loss of Kyrie Irving has not just been that Isaiah Thomas is not healthy yet. It's that Jay Crowder's having the worst year of his career. J.R. Smith's having the worst year of his career. Tristan Thompson seems to not have responded to the bench role at all. No. All those things are happening.
And Kevin Love is not a center. They moved him from 4 to 5. He's not a center. You know, so all these things, it's hard to change. But LeBron, with the right attitude, makes a lot of that stuff go away.
Right.
And he has been able to do that in the past with less talented rosters than they have right now.
Jenna, you've asked me all year long, seemingly, because they started off poorly, and now they're going through this. What will it take for me to be concerned? CeCe's point about LeBron's general disposition, if that doesn't turn a corner post-trade deadline, then you will come to me on the show and I'll show some concern. I believe that part of the reason LeBron is acting the way he's acting, prior to last night, was having the worst week that he's had all season. Some of the reason he's been bad on defense and lethargic on offense at times is because he wants this team to make major roster changes and is kind of forcing the issue with his level of play. If his level of play does not get back to where it was 6 weeks ago, once the roster's set in stone at the trade deadline,
February 8th,
then it's
right?
February 8th, then it's real reason for concern. Like, right now, it's tough to judge anything that goes on with this team when you know IT could be traded. Like, an IT for Kemba Walker trade exists. Kevin Love could be traded. I don't think they will. But, like, everyone is tradable right now except for LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
Well, one of the things we do have to look at is this relationship between Kevin Love and Isaiah Thomas, which has obviously caused some friction. They've had two full team pregame or postgame meetings, whatnot, closed door, air out our grievances. You don't hear a lot about that from other teams having so much in-team fighting right now, at least. Is there a scenario whereby these two can coexist and be prolific on the court? Because so far we haven't seen that.
Well, I think that they can play good basketball together, but IT, it's absent of him being healthy. IT can't play. He can't be explosive. He can't get in the lane. He can't dish back out. Because once he gets into the lane, a guy like Kevin Love is a tremendous asset because he's a knockdown shooter. Get in the lane. You don't have to finish at the rim. You can dish it back out. That type of offense work. But IT is in a personal struggle. And he doesn't know these players in Cleveland. He doesn't know Shump. He doesn't know LeBron. He doesn't know Kevin Love. But Kevin Love has been the whipping boy, the excuse for the Cavs for 4 years. They make excuses for Kevin Love every year. So I think that Kevin is a little, chafed by the whole situation. Okay. Especially with, they gave Derrick Rose, 2 months off to go find himself? All right? Now, Kevin Love saying I was actually sick in a game, which I believe that he was. But Derrick Rose can take, he's new here, and I've been here. I've won championships. I should get some type of credibility for that. And I think that was one of the big problems with all the 8 new players that have joined the Cavs.
Kevin Love has been a scapegoat sometimes unfairly. Kevin Love, though, has not helped himself in how he has played since Isaiah Thomas came back. Yeah, you're going to get fewer shots. That doesn't mean your three-point percentage has to dip by 10 points with and without Isaiah Thomas. Your regular field goal percentage dipped by 13 points with and without Isaiah Thomas.
Yes, LeBron's a dip too.
What?
LeBron by 20% on the three, right?
Oh, well, LeBron, since Christmas Day, he's gone from shooting the best threes of his career to the worst three-point shooting of his career. But that's with or without Isaiah Thomas on the court. Yeah. For Kevin Love, his production has dipped significantly. That is on him. He's an all-star in this league, a $20 million a year player.
LeBron needs to write a letter to himself about that free throw line.
Guys, I just want to congratulate ourselves on the rest of the day, which hasn't happened yet. But congratulations to us. It was an awesome.
Oh, we just out
the
here.
last
We just
5
got out
seconds
here
are going to be
disrespect
awesome.
the greatest athlete of all time.
Love LeBron. Undisputed
Y'all go
is
ahead
right
and live
now.
on that corner.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy. Let's go face to face. I am.